When I launched this coaching business, about a year into it, I decided I need a new computer. And so I bought a Mac. And at first I thought, oh, this is so expensive. But once you buy your first Mac, you get used to that price and realize it's a superior product.
Welcome to Macpreneur, the show for seasoned solopreneurs looking to streamline their business on a Mac. Unlock the secrets to saving time and money with your host and technology mentor, Damien Schroers.
Hello. Today I have the pleasure to introduce Cindy Baker. Cindy is the founder of CBC Cindy Baker Coaching, a coaching and education company for entrepreneurs. With a master's in counseling and over 19 years as an educator, Cindy's mission is to share the success secrets she has discovered in her own journey as an entrepreneur with ADHD to inspire other creative professionals to leverage their brain's superpowers to become positive, prepared, and productive. Her productivity training has helped countless entrepreneurs grow their businesses by overcoming overwhelm, gaining clarity and focus, and managing their time. Fueled by faith and coffee, she loves being a wife, grandma, and dog mom. When not coaching, she can be found singing in her church choir or spending time outdoors. Cindy, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for being on the show. So let's jump right into the main topic. Which Mac are you using to run your business?
I'm using the MacBook Pro and my phone, my iPhone.
For how long have you had this MacBook Pro now?
I got this one in 2021. Now the phone is new because I accidentally left the other one on top of the car and drove off. Very expensive mistake. So I got the latest iPhone. I like the camera feature. You can zoom in on things that are really far away real easily.
When my guests have a MacBook of some kind, I always ask the question, do you use the main screen of the laptop or do you have a secondary screen attached to it?
I use the main screen unless I'm giving a presentation. And when I'm doing that, I do have a second screen. So that way I can share the second screen and they can see the PowerPoint slides, but I can see the notes and they can't. And I like that. So I have both.
If we go back to in history, what was your first Mac? When did you switch from Windows to Mac?
Yeah, well, I have a background. Before I was a coach, I was an educator. And in our school system, Apple products are what they used. So at school, I was using a Mac. And at home, I was using a PC. I didn't want to buy a computer, but I found myself bringing my school computer home and using it. I'm only supposed to use it for school, but occasional personal things you can do on it. And I just found myself using it more. When I launched this coaching business, about a year into it, I decided I need a new computer. And so I bought a Mac. And at first I thought, oh, this is so expensive. But once you buy your first Mac, you get used to that price and realize it's a superior product.
But they also last longer. How long did you use the first one?
This is my first personal one. The ones at school were leased. I think they're a 3-year lease, and then they recycle them. And I even bought a recycled iPad, which I really don't use much, but it's almost like a new one. It's refurbished. So they do last a long time.
Yeah. Here in Europe, there are many ways to buy refurbished Macs. So some countries where they have official Apple stores, the online Apple store, there is a refurbished section at the very bottom. It's the same also in the US and Canada and the UK. If you scroll at the very, very bottom of the apple.com website, you will see a refurbished section where you can find recent models at 30 or 40% off. There are also third-party providers or third-party sellers for refurbished things. Here in Luxembourg, where I live, there is no official Apple store, so we only have to, we can go on Amazon. Actually, Amazon France offers a lot of refurbished Apple products. And otherwise, there is Back Market, where I bought 2 MacBooks for my daughters. When COVID hit, they needed to do school from home. So
Right.
I bought 2 refurbished MacBooks, and they are still going okay. It's just that the battery is almost dead. When buying refurbished MacBooks, if you can ask for a new battery, it's always good. Otherwise, you end up with an 80% capacity battery. When you buy it, it's already a bit too low.
I never thought about that for the battery.
Yes. So with Back Market, for instance, for my daughters, I paid a little bit more, but I was able to choose one where the seller guaranteed they put a new battery in. Right? They wiped the hard drive to make sure there was no prior data. It was not an Apple battery, but it was a completely new battery when I bought it refurbished.
That's a good idea. Get a new battery.
Okay, which applications do you use on your Mac and you rely upon for your business?
I use Notes and the whole Microsoft suite, PowerPoint, Word, Excel, things like that. But as far as you and I were talking earlier, I help people with productivity, and I work with a lot of people who have ADHD, and they tend to have their desktop just crazy stuff all over it, and they can't find anything. I like that you can push a button and it stacks everything, photos, documents. I didn't know until about a year ago that you could use the Notes app on your phone as a scanner. I use that as well.
Can you explain for the listeners who do not know about this feature? How does it work?
So your Notes app, I believe it is the camera. Let's see. Well, I can't remember exactly, but you hold it up just like you would a scanner through your phone camera, and it will center the document, and then it'll take a picture, and it will prompt you and say, do you want to keep this or do it again? You can do multiple pages of the same document. Mac products, everything's in the cloud. So you can do that on your phone. And if you have your phone synced with your MacBook, you can pull it up. Let's say somebody needed you to send them a document and you just had the paper copy. You scan it on your phone and it shows up on your Notes app on your laptop. That's pretty handy sometimes. I use the Notes app too, just things that I frequently need to copy and paste, like the URL for my offer or my website. I pull it up and it's right there. I don't have to go hunt through my desktop or documents and what did I title it. It's all just right there. I just open that up and everything's right there. For instance, on podcasts, people will ask for social links. Rather than having to type all that out every time, I have a little notes document. I just copy and paste it. There it is.
So I don't know if that, but if devices are connected to the same iCloud account, there is already a synchronized clipboard, meaning that if you copy something on your phone, on your Mac, you can simply do Command V to paste because there is a synchronized clipboard. Was that what you were mentioning?
Yeah, you can do that, but it also shows up in your Notes app. If you need to look at it, you don't have your phone, it's there. That's very convenient, having everything synced like that.
Yeah, so for the listeners, there are 2 places where we can scan documents from an iPhone natively. The first one is Notes, which makes a lot of sense when you want to add stuff to a big note. And I do that oftentimes with actually Post-its. I use Post-its a lot, and I have ideas, doodles, and stuff like that. And once a week, usually it's on Sunday, I clean up a little bit my desk. Usually the things that I've put on a Post-it note have a place, they have a note ready to go there. So I go into the note, and then you have the camera icon at the top of the Notes app. I scan the Post-its as PDF into Notes. So that's the first way. The second way is via the Files app on the phone. If you open the Files app and navigate to an iCloud Drive folder or any folder, third party, could be Dropbox, Google Drive, right? If you have configured those cloud providers on your phone, and if you click on the three dots in a circle, one of the options is Scan Document. It's actually titled Scan Document. And it will do the exact same thing as what you are used to in Notes, except that the resulting document will be saved as a PDF in the folder where you are in the Files app. If it's iCloud Drive, it will sync automatically to your MacBook, iMac, and iPad. If it's in a third-party cloud storage provider, it will then sync up to those services.
Good to know. I think I learned that at one point, but I'd forgotten it.
Yeah, that's something that it's not that I discovered it recently, but I had a PDF scanner that I had paid for on my phone. And then the developer, I don't remember if the developer changed to the subscription service. And I didn't want to pay every month or every year for this. And so at one point I realized, how can I do that without needing to pay for that? And I don't remember now if it was in a blog or if I searched or something. And then I realized, oh yeah, we can do that natively now with the Files app. So since we are talking about tips and tricks, what other tips and tricks do you rely upon on your Mac to be more productive?
Well, I mentioned stacks. There's some accessibility features that are helpful depending on the situation. Kind of a newer feature is the voice. It can, I guess it's AI, can replicate your voice. And that's helpful sometimes. I know I recently lost my voice when I got COVID over Christmas. And so that is sometimes helpful to have a feature like that. There's live captions under accessibility. There's a spotlight search where AI will find the subject of a photo. Just a lot of different features in that accessibility tab if you play around with it some. I tend to use the same things over and over and probably don't utilize all of the features that I could. But the Mac is just, I mean, even the keyboard, it's laid out in a way that makes it simple to use. It's just easier. I make little folders on my desktop and label them and drag files into the folders to keep track of things. I mean, you could do that on a PC as well, but not as easily.
Do you synchronize your desktop with iCloud so that you have access to the files on your phone?
I do. Yeah, and that came in really handy when I lost my phone. My phone was destroyed. Somebody had run over it in the street. I thought, what if it's not backed up recently? But as long as you keep it current and connected to your Apple ID, that's a downside because we have so many passwords. Sometimes people say, I don't know what my Apple ID is. But I was able to go home and get on Find My Phone, and it pinged where my iPhone had dropped. I found it, but it was destroyed, but it was all backed up. So everything was able to go onto the new phone with no problems. Yeah. And then let's say I'm out somewhere and someone emails me something and says, look at this file or whatever. I can pull it up on my phone, even though I put it on my laptop. And that's really nice.
Yeah, it's a nice feature with two caveats. One big caveat is you need enough iCloud storage. And you need to be super mindful about what you put on the desktop or in the documents folder. I had a client of mine. He inadvertently turned on that feature. And before that, he was using his desktop as a temporary storage for video editing. So he had, I don't know, 3 terabytes of stuff on the desktop. Yeah. There was a macOS update and the feature synchronized desktop and documents was ticked by default. He didn't realize that. And he got actually his iCloud storage completely stuck. And it took 4 days. I went twice the same week, the first time to try to understand the problem. We had to escalate that to Apple Cloud engineers who realized it was completely stuck.
Yeah. Yeah, I bought this refurbished iPad and I was setting it up and it was just like, I think it probably asked me, do you want to just set it up like your phone? And I thought, oh, okay. I really didn't mean to do that, but now all these pictures are on there and I'm like, oh man, because I used to have a travel blog, so I have lots of pictures and I have to pay for extra cloud storage. I recently bought an external hard drive to offload some of those videos and pictures. I have an online coaching business where I help people with productivity, so I do a lot of video trainings and things like that. So it does take up space. And you're right, if it's synced, it's everywhere. That is one of the downsides. Yeah. And then I guess there's a thing called handoff or something like that, that you can turn it off where it won't sync devices. But most people don't do that.
You can always go in settings on any device. On the Mac, it will be called system settings now. But on the iPhone and the iPad, it's settings. If you go to your Apple account, now called Apple account, you can manually decide what you want to synchronize on that device. Yeah.
Yeah, there's so many things that we probably don't use that it can do, especially the newer devices. They have additional features and we're just so used to doing the same thing the same way. It's worth looking into some of those things so you can make your life a little easier, you know.
Yeah. Okay, we almost at the end of the show. If you were in charge of the Mac division at Apple, what would be your first priority?
Oh, first reaction is to say make it less expensive, but that's probably not the most important. As long as the system is working well and it can handle all those things, I don't know what I would add. What about you?
Yeah, for me, I would get a few engineers to work on a version of macOS that would patch the security vulnerabilities that have been found, but continue supporting older hardware a little bit longer. It's usually 9 years that they support the Macs. But after that, there is no operating system or security updates available. And so when you say make it less expensive, I think it's because they have very good components and very tight tolerances. The hardware, most of the time, lasts longer than the operating system versions they support. They claim they want to do good for the environment, but at the same time, there are a lot of Macs that either are not used or that go to landfill, or I don't know how much is really recycled, but they could have a second life, a third life, a fourth life.
Yeah, technology advances so quickly that it's impossible for them to promise support for 10 years because some of the technology could be outdated 10 years from now.
Yeah, recently I refurbished a very old iMac, 2010 or 2011 iMac for my mom, who is, she has an iPhone, she has a MacBook Air, an old MacBook Air as well, but the MacBook Air is 11 inch and her eyesight doesn't get better over time, so it's a pretty small screen.
Right.
I had an old 21-inch iMac. I keep all my Macs actually. It was in the attic and so old that it didn't get security updates anymore. And what I ended up doing is install something called Chrome OS Flex. Chrome OS is the operating system from Google that is installed on Chromebooks for education. And they have a version that runs on any Intel Macs. My mom basically lives off her Gmail account. She's mostly on Gmail, YouTube, Google Docs, and browsing the web with Google Chrome on her Mac. Because she's mainly doing that, Chrome OS Flex made sense. I was really positively surprised because that old iMac has only 4 GB of RAM, so it's very, very little RAM. But no, that thing ran very fast, actually booting as fast as macOS on a recent computer. The only thing we had to do was her logging in with her Gmail account. So Gmail address, password, and bloop, she had access to everything.
Wow, that was a good idea.
Something also that I did not expect, it recognized her Epson printer immediately because the printer was on the same network at her house. I tried printing and then I saw the printer, I selected it and no configuration. It was like, wow. And she can use a webcam. It's rudimentary in terms of file management, but it integrates with Google Drive.
Yeah, it works for her.
What is nice is that any website can be turned into an application in the dock. It has the same philosophy as macOS. So you have a dock that you can put at the bottom, on the left or on the right of the screen. And you have round icons with different apps, actually websites to do the migration. I just opened Google Chrome on her old MacBook Air. I put in the favorites all the websites she needed, like the bank for e-banking, her cell phone operator. I put that just in the in the favorites on her MacBook Air with macOS, and then on the iMac with Chrome OS, they appeared automatically.
Oh, wow. Wow.
Because it's synchronized through the Google account or Gmail account. And now she's super happy. She has a very nice, almost double the size screen.
That's great.
Yeah. Very good. So where can people find you online, Cindy?
I'm on Instagram as CBC_Cindy Baker Coaching. CINDY Baker Coaching. I'll give you a link to all of my socials, and you can put those in your show notes. If they want to get on my mailing list, I give out productivity tips every week. They can do that by opting in for my free mini course on how to beat procrastination. I don't know if anybody can relate to that, but that is at waitnomore.net. WAIT no more.net. They'll provide their email address to get that. Usually every weekend I send a newsletter with some productivity tips, and anytime there's an event coming up or a workshop, they'll hear about that as well. But I have a free Facebook group where I do training every week. Website is cindybakercoaching.com.
Yeah, I will put a link in the show notes. And by the way, procrastination is my middle name. I think
yeah, a lot of people can relate.
Yeah, very good. So yeah, I will put a link to everything in the show notes. And so if, like Cindy, you would like to share how you are using your Mac to run your solopreneur business, visit macpreneur.com/apply. If you are already on Podmatch, just click on the button and you will land on the show profile. Otherwise, fill the application form and I will get back to you within a few days. Once again, it's macpreneur.com/apply. In the comments below, please share your main takeaway from this episode, and if not done yet, please subscribe to my channel so you will get more helpful tips on how to run your business on your Mac. And until next time, I'm Damien Schroers, wishing you a great day.
Thank you for watching the Macpreneur podcast. If you've enjoyed the show, please leave a comment and share it with a friend right now.